Welcome to the Moo Stew podcast. Hello.
Well, that could be a good tune actually for it.
Moo. Hello, folks. Welcome to episode number 4 of the Moo Stew podcast. This evening we're joined by Richard Murphy. That's him. Richie has been a friend since we were both this height, since we were like age 7-ish.
Yeah.
Long time.
Yeah.
We know each other a good amount of years, and Richie's a coach in the gym, and I'll just re-emphasize that the podcast isn't about the studio. It's about people, so we'll talk to Richie, and inevitably some stuff will come up about his coaching life and all that sort of stuff. We'll be talking more about just general life stuff. Hello.
Oh yeah.
Do you want to tell people a little bit about your background, a bit about yourself?
Background about myself would be I was qualified as a fitness instructor back in 2013. So, and what got me into it was, I was on the struggles with the phone. What got me into it was basically, I think it was initially I started doing a circuit training class, and one of the lads that I knew rang me one day, and he was like, we put on I was running a circuit training class, do you fancy doing it? And I was like, okay. Played football, did all that kind of stuff. I was like, sure, we'll give it a go and see how it goes. And I think I did that for about a year, maybe a year and a half. And then he finished, we got him doing it down in the hospice where I work. And then I think I seen you on Facebook looking ripped.
Fair play.
I was like, is that Andy? No way. So yeah, I think that's how I initially started into that. I was like, I want to look like Andy. I used to be bigger than him, height-wise, but yeah. But that's how that initially started in that. So
okay.
Yeah, but I think it was 4th class we started. We knew each other from. Now we weren't specifically friends, but we knew each other. We were in the same classes.
Well, my older brothers and your older sisters and stuff knew each other as well. So
we didn't know that at the time either.
Families know each other.
Yeah, the families know each other very well actually.
Yeah, a lot of dodgy photos.
Very much so. But I think it was 4th class. We knew each other then because we think we were in the same form class.
Okay.
In Moy Park for the first 3 years, and again we knew each other. I knew that you were into basketball and stuff. Played a bit of football myself back in school, but nothing too major, and never really any big into it. I did play, believe it or not, for under 16s Pats. I played as a banger, as they used to call it.
Fair play.
Playing for the local team, played for Green Park, Celtic, all that. When that was, there's not that many school teams back now, or even local teams around.
Okay.
I know of anyway. So started playing that, and then one of the lads I knew was playing under 16s for Pats, and he was like, "Where do you fancy going?" I think this was junior cert year as well, which probably didn't go hand in hand because obviously all your parents want to do is make you study, and I hated school at the time anyway. So yeah,
me too.
We all hated school. So I think he asked me to go, and it was on a Wednesday night, and training was at 8 o'clock on a Wednesday night. I think it started in the October, which was just so wasn't that good. Went down, loved it, thought it was great. I think I played half a season, and then I just got into just hanging out with the lads, just out in the field drinking, and that sort of football career sort of stuff just went to the side.
Okay.
Pity, because I think I actually could have.
Yeah, you were handy.
Okay, I was handy.
You used to kick the legs off me.
Yeah.
we used to play 5-a-side, and I was a cocky little bollocks, and Richie wasn't. And he used to kick the legs off me.
It went from you being that height and me being this height to you going to this height and me being down here. You being very cocky and me sort of going, I don't remember that. Let's kick the legs off each other.
Gas.
That went on for a while actually, yeah.
I think it's obviously a thing that happens is when people reach a certain age. So there's a huge difference or a huge turning point in you and me where I said this on the last, I think 2 podcasts ago with Keith, is I reached kind of maturity or puberty really late, like 17ish or 17 and a half. You were shaving when you were like 11 or something like that.
I think it was actually 13. Yeah, so when you can go into a pub and get served at 15, that's when you sort of okay. But then when you were hitting puberty, I was losing my hair, so it's not.
It is really interesting, but I think it was obviously easier for you then to fall into drinking with lads when I was just so young, or I felt so young that it just wasn't a thing that I cared about too much or anything like that. But yeah, so you end up kind of ditching football, which a lot of people do, and kind of girls and alcohol and all that come in and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
How did that kind of steer you then? Kind of how did things go after that then?
That sort of, like when you start hanging around fields, you start drinking, a lot of stuff just gets put to the side because all you're concerned about is going out with the lads and having a couple of drinks, and obviously when girls are involved then as well, at that age, it completely takes over and nothing else really matters. So I went through a bit of a phase of not, because I left school then after, I got halfway through transition year and was sort of given the choice because I wasn't exactly the most stunning pupil, as we'll say. You know, you're talking fights, getting into a lot of trouble in school, smashing windows in schools, stuff like that. Nothing I'm proud of whatsoever.
Old Richie.
Old Richie, yeah, old Richie's gone. But when you get to that point, and I did, when it got about halfway through transition year, I think I was going through a bit of a phase of just being a bit in on myself, and I went through, like, I can look back at it now and sort of go, okay, yeah, maybe it was a slight depression. Okay. But obviously, back then, there was no talk of that. There was no, if you're acting a bit strange, they just think that you're something majorly wrong with you, like, oh, what's wrong with them? Yeah. You can't. I think it's more acceptable now. Not I'm saying like depression is more acceptable. More acceptable in the fact that it's more open and people can talk about it a bit better, and that's fantastic. But back then, it was a bit like going, no, I'd rather sit up in my room for 11 months and not talk to anybody. And not actually go through like what I knew was depression. And I think my sister was going through stuff at the time, and my mum and dad were very occupied with her, and they were doing their best to sort of try and, you know, because they had 6 kids, you know, 4 older sisters and an older brother, and I was the youngest, and I was going through a little phase, and they didn't really see that as such because they were so occupied with my sister. And again, it's no fault of their own. They were doing their best what they could. And I think then when I left transition year, left school, I think that's when I think it was 11 months. I literally just sat at home and just didn't do anything. I started hanging around with a couple of older lads, which I knew from school. And I think that helped me a lot because they got me out, they got me socialising, but then we started drinking. So it was a bit like, okay, maybe I shouldn't be drinking. And then you're borrowing money to go drinking, and it was like, is it better than just sitting at home and feeling sorry for yourself and into this little pit? But I think it got to a point where I was 17, 18, and just sort of going, okay, I have to go out and get a job. My dad got me a job with the electrician he knew down the hospice, so that helped a lot. But yeah, I think at that point you sort of go to yourself, okay, I need to sort of cop on a little bit here. No, it didn't. It took me at least till the age of 25, and I do have to thank my wife for that, for just bringing me down a little bit, because between the ages of 16 and 25, Richie was pretty much just...
It's tough. It's tough. Like, even looking back at when we were in school, so like we said, we went to the same school. Now you can look back and you're like, fuck, like, I remember him, and like even lads that have committed suicide since, you're looking back and like, I can see that now, knowing what I am, or like, you know, being older and wiser now. I was like, I can absolutely see, like, if I saw that person today, or if I saw somebody else who was in school now, I was like, fuck, that person's struggling, like, you know, I hope his circle of people are helping him and stuff like that. It's super tough to go through, but also for parents to try and help you through as well, in a culture that didn't really talk about it too much, and now I think things are much, much better. Yeah, so vastly different. I couldn't get into places because I looked 14. You couldn't get out of places.
14.
Ish. Cool. So I think we were just chatting beforehand, and you were kind of saying you ended up then having a kid quite young.
Yeah.
A lovely kid.
Yeah.
Luke.
Great. Great young fella.
Tell us how that kind of experience of becoming a parent quite young was.
I think, again, hanging around with the group of lads, they're great lads. Do you know what I mean? I learned a lot because they were slightly older. They were a couple of years older than me, and there was no really, and they sort of like really took me under the wing a little bit. Yeah. Do you know, that kind of way? And we went to Tenerife, the lads' holidays, 2 weeks. Had a great time. Came back, and then I met Luke and Jade's mum. She worked in the local chipper. Great story, of course. You know, you're going in there every Thursday and Friday night. You get chatting. That's just me as a person. I just talk to everybody anyway.
That's why people love you.
Yeah, that's it. And so the relationship went on from there. She got pregnant very early. Obviously, none of this was planned. It was like sort of just literally just going in completely blind to stuff and not having a clue. And again, the culture back then, you can't blame it on culture and the fact that I just should have just known. Do you know the kind of way? You should have known about protection, about everything else. Again, it's a bit more open about it nowadays, which is fantastic. Especially when Luke is literally just gone past that age now. Like he's 19 now, and he's gone past that age of when I had him. Yeah. So it's an interesting transition of that I'm at a completely different standpoint in my life, and he's come to that point now, and I'm like, okay, so yeah, so at least I can influence a little bit better of just doing the dad thing and showing the ropes. But so I was 18 when I had him. Yeah. I turned 18 in June, and he was born in November. So I went through that. That was madness. I remember how I told my parents, because being the ball and brass, the problem was it wasn't even like that. It was just being the ball and brass. It was like, I think I went in, and my dad would actually tell you the story of how I did it. It was like, I think we were after having a bit of an argument ourselves anyway, and I sort of came up and I was like, yeah, she's fucking pregnant now and walking off, and I was like, that's not how you tell your parents that they're having another grandchild. It's just not. But that was just me, just, you know, being angry at the world and sort of saying like, you know, what the fuck is going on? But it's completely all your responsibility. And my parents were great with stuff like that, absolutely great. So they had a couple of grandkids at the time. I can't remember how many they have. There's 22 now. Yeah, I can't do the maths of how many they have. But they're very supportive. Helped us through it. Says things didn't really work out with ourselves, and broke up. That was hard because Luke was only like 6 months at the time as well. So I just found it. You know, you're 18. You still want to go out and live. You know, there's so many bad things that can go on between such a young couple having a young child. You know, the kind of way, and so many stuff just doesn't work. And it's nothing against the people themselves. It's more just the situation, and you know what I mean, because there was no such thing. You weren't going to go out and rent somewhere. Then there was, you know, it's just completely difficult. And then we got back together. Then she got pregnant again, and then we had Jade. I was 20 when we had Jade. I'm really sure. And then it just didn't work. Do you know, the kind of logistics wise and all that. As I said, it was difficult. It was probably one of the hardest decisions I've ever made, to be honest with you, was deciding that, you know what, this was not going to work. And we didn't really see the thing of, you know, staying together for the kids, sort of kind of thing, because that just doesn't work. You know? It's not fair. It's not fair to the kids to sort of have that on them either. You know?
I just became a parent at age 34, I think I was, when I had Luce. But yeah, but just looking at that, I was like, even that was like, Jesus, it's such a huge stressor and such a whirlwind of difficulty. And yeah, so to have a kid that young, it's just like, I always think about it when I'm thinking about you and kind of what you do for people and all that sort of stuff. I'm just like, fuck, you've been under like a mountain of just tough stuff for decades.
And one thing that has always been told to me, and it's something that's always stuck with me, is that one saying that was said was that the character of a person is always defined as that when they're at their bottom and not when they're at their top. Yeah. And that's when you know how people can deal with stressful situations and how they actually go about their life and, you know, deal with it in that sense. You know, it's not when someone's at the top and they've got money and they got cars, they got a house and they have a wife with a baby. That's not. It's when they're at the bottom and they're literally sort of going, well, I'm at my lowest point here and things can't really get any worse. And it's how they build themselves up and build it. And I think that's a lot of influence from stuff like that would have been my dad, because my dad's he's a very respectful person. He's, he's from the Boot Road originally in Clondalkin, it's representing. But it's always just like, you have your basic stuff in life that you look after. You look after your family, look after your kids, you look after yourself. And you respect other people. Yeah. You treat other people the way you want to be treated. Yeah. And you don't go around just pissing in other people's soup, that kind of way. It's like, you just don't do it because you just don't know when you might need that other person. Yeah. You might necessarily, even going back to us back in the day, I would have never thought that we'd be in the position that we are now. Mm-hmm. Do you know that kind of way?
Of course,
I look back, because we were completely different in the sense that I was this little shit and you weren't. Do you know that kind of way?
I wasn't the best.
No, but you're like, you'd go back to like, I was living in Johns Wood, which is a lovely area, but I hung around all the dodgy areas, and you were from the, as we would call it, the posh end of the village.
No life experience.
Yeah, well, not even that, but we all have a different way of going about it, and that you did your bit, I've done mine, and now we're in the middle and sort of. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, just to bring it back as well, just to talking about I think it defines you as well. I think that's why we love you, is like the stuff that when you're saying like your character is defined, but when you're at the bottom, and you know, it's not when you have the things, when you don't, and when you're struggling and all that. And I think we love you because that's why you're talking about, you've learned that from your dad, and then you're just a master at like talking to people and making them feel special and stuff like that. I think it's if I was to try and say like what I think about you, what defines you, it's that, and it's amazing that you can kind of identify that. I think it's something you'll be able to pass on to your kids and stuff like that as well. So those are just life skills, and that, like, we always say this place is about relationships and connection and all that sort of stuff. And like, if you're ever thinking about looking for a coach or whatever, like, we always say, like, we make people trial on a Monday because you're the person they meet, and if they don't like you, they can fuck off. But it's true. I say it joking, but like, I say it because that's it. If they don't like you, then they're not the person for this studio, like, you know. Yeah, it just is what it is. But no, bravo, because I think you've been through the struggles, but then you realise that that's actually the making of you, and to this day you still bend over backwards for people. Like, the studio is built in your hands, so whopper.
It's just both going on to that now.
Yeah.
It's fine. I love hearing that. I like the way that I can relate it to that as well. Do you know, that kind of way, because I owe this place so much. I owe you so much for it, and it's definitely helped me even through hard times in the last couple of years, last 10 years. Do you know what I mean? Of having more kids, and, you know, going through like getting married, buying a house, selling apartments, all that jazz. Like, it's life. Like, life doesn't stop. Like, you might have a child when you're 18, 20. It doesn't stop. Do you know what I mean? Because other stuff keeps going. Do you know what I mean? Life doesn't stop. It's just like, you can just go and enjoy yourself, because you still have to work. You still have to provide. You still have to, do you know what I mean, look after these kids, make sure the kids are okay, whether you're still with the parent or not. Do you know, the kind of way? And it always hurts me when I see people who don't look after the kids, whether they're with the partner or not, and they're off doing whatever, and, you know, the mums at home and the grandparents are home minding the kids. You know, when it's just like, it's like, it gets to a point that just all like, you know what, you have to be responsible for it, regardless of the situation, or regardless what happened. Like, I'm blessed in the fact that me and Michelle get on so well. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Vicky and her get on great. The kids get on great with Vicky. Do you know, I can't ask for any more than that. Do you know, ever. It's just like,
yeah, it's so easy to paint a picture of an ideal situation, like, you know, 2 kids, 2 parents, and all that. But like, life isn't like that, and I think you make it work with whatever you have and all that sort of stuff. And I think that's the beauty of it. I don't care about like images or, you know, anything like that, or idealism. No, I think that's amazing, and life revolves around relationships, and it's awesome. We may as well stay on topic then. So you said you met Vicky then, and Vicky kind of changed your life. Before we talk about anything else, can you explain a little bit more how she kind of, we talked about this doing a 5k run before, but just tell me a little bit more about how she brought you out of a bad place into a good place, and kind of slap some sense into you.
Again, we were still out doing the drinking thing, and we'd become friends in 2003. It's a long time ago now. So again, it was from going out with the work lads and stuff and all of that. We were great mates. I'm still very close to one of them now. I've known them over 20 years now. And just going out drinking on a Thursday and Friday night, and it was a charity do. And one of Anto, one of my best mates, great lad. He was getting his chest waxed for a charity, and I was getting it done as well. And Vicky was there; she was doing the waxing. We knew each other from work because she works in the hospice as well. And I've seen her a couple of times, and she was in a relationship at a time, a long-term relationship. And we just got chatting, just started being friends. We all started going out drinking together. Things didn't work out then between her and the boyfriend. The boyfriend broke up with her. But we were always just still around. Do you know, we were a tight-knit group in the sense that there was always the 4 or 5 of us out there on a Thursday night or Friday night. She'd always have her friends down the local pub and stuff and all that she'd go to. And she'd always go drinking down with us. And so we turned into best friends for a good 2.5 years. And then we went on holiday in the September, I'm remembering correctly, I think it was just down the road from Marbella. One of the lads we knew from work had a place there. He was Spanish. The group of 4 of us went. And whatever it was about that holiday, I still can't put my finger on it, that just something just changed between us, that we just got a little bit closer. And yeah, things just stemmed from there, just to like literally dived into a relationship with her. And I don't think we left each other side for most of the time anyway.
Nice.
So we were together for 2 years. We got engaged in 2006. You probably killed me if I get that wrong. Take all the dates out. We got married in 2007. We went to Vegas and got married. So we wanted a small wedding, but what happened was that, well, she wanted a small wedding. I sort of wanted the church wedding and all that. And the church in Clondalkin was being done up at the time. So we couldn't do it. Typical. So we went to her local church with the Assumption, which all our kids have been christened in since, which is again hilarious. And we live across the road from it now. So it's all like, it's like a magnet just around that area of life. Yeah. I think everyone needs that centre point that they go back to, whether it's the mom's house, granny's house or whatever, or it's just, but at the moment that's my centre point. I still have a great feeling for Clondalkin, and every time I get down there it's like nostalgia. I'm like,
nice.
I remember that. I remember smashing that window. Stuff like that. But yeah, so we got married in Vegas in 2007. I think we had a big party when we came back then, but again I wanted to invite everybody. But it wasn't like a shotgun wedding. We actually decided to go to Vegas as our sort of, how would you say, like honeymoon / thing. So her brother came with us and his girlfriend at the time. They were our witnesses. Vicky was very, very drunk the day we got married. It wasn't Elvis that married us, it was some Filipino fella. I don't think Vicky remembers much of it. She had to go into the bathroom to be sick and then come back out. She's gonna kill me. So she had to go in and she came out and she was like, I love you. And I was like, you're not gonna remember any of this. And I think on the way back from the bathroom, I do remember, I think they went into another wedding to be witnesses for them and then came back in. Best crack ever. Go to Vegas and get married. It's brilliant. So that's actually our Vegas Versary, as we call it, is tomorrow. So we have a little Vegas Versary thing, and then our proper anniversary. So we went to Vegas, got married in Vegas, then we went to San Francisco for 10 days or a week. I think it was a week. And then we were in New York for 4 days. New York was an experience and a half. Okay. I think the city's great and all, but we haven't gone back since because when we went, we had booked the hotel and stuff and all through a travel company that we knew, not a reputable travel company, not anymore anyway. So they had booked us in, and they had booked us into the dingiest hotel ever. I mean, they had these big carpet mats that were stuck to the wall to keep the heat in. Nice. So you go in, it's like, remember remember Big, the film? Remember when he was staying and there was like gunshots outside and it was like a sheet across the window? It was like that. We slept on the sheets in the hotel room. It was that bad. So that was an experience and a half. So we ended up going out there that night because we were like, I can't stay here. Do you know what I mean? It was the worst experience ever. And booking into a lovely hotel, but I think by that, we were just flummoxed with everything. So, so came back, had a big party, and our anniversary's on the 1st of September. So
you're married how long now?
So married in 2007. So we'll be married
12 years,
13 years, yeah. 13 years.
Wow.
12 years, 12 years.
And in terms of her then being an anchor to kind of settle you down or kind of get you grounded, what was it?
I think it was like I was running down here and she was always running because she's proper career sort of orientated. She was out working since she was like 15. Okay. Do you know the kind of way?
What was she doing back then?
She worked initially in a garage, just serving in the garage, late night garage and stuff like that. Then she was a lounge girl in the local pub, which she was great at. She's like me. Yeah. I think that's why we get on so well. We were people. Yeah. Like she works in a care environment. She was a carer for years, and she's so good with patients and elderly and sick people, and she just knows how to talk to people. Do you know the kind of way?
Very much so.
So I think I was just running down here, she was running here and going that way, and I was just going that way. And I think just in between, just gradually she just pulled me up better. Cool. And I think, especially being friends, she's very straight-laced. Mm-hmm. Do you know, if there's any issues or problems, people like, stop fucking, sort your shit kind of thing. I think that sort of probably needed that at the time. Cool. Because the lads were running the same way as me. They were like down there and they were like, nah, whatever. But she was always like, no, you need to do this, you need to do that. And I was like, oh, shit. this very, very attractive woman is making sense. I was like, I'm gonna have to follow that. So that's what happened.
Yeah,
So
I think that's the best thing that ever happens to us. I think all men need it. Is someone to kind of just, you find that person, and just everything starts to make a bit more sense, and you face up to things, and you get your shit together. And
but half the time they don't give you a choice. But I think we need that. I think men in general sort of need that sort of going. No, hold on, mate.
Yeah, and I'm sure. I mean, it goes both ways, obviously.
Geez, no, definitely. Yeah. But she was a great influencer. She had her head screwed on.
Yeah.
Do you know that kind of way? She still does more than I do, but that's okay as well. I let her.
Cool. And so then you had Noah.
Noah. Yeah. the little battle axe. 2002. Noah was born, and that's
12.
No, Jade was born in 2002.
Yeah.
Noah was born in 2012.
Okay. Yeah.
So he's 7 now, and a little lunatic.
Yeah.
So we were living in Vicky's mum's at the time, and we were living in the box room, just for money wise and stuff and all like that. I think it was just when the boom hit, we bought the apartment in Rackhill.
Hold that thought for 1 second.
Go.
And just switch this. When the boom hit, you bought your apartment.
When the boom hit, we bought the apartment, and it was literally 2 years after we bought the apartment, everything just went crashed. So I think we sort of decided that just from money wise and stuff that we'd move into Vicky's mum's. It just makes more logical sense. Vicky was 6 months pregnant with him at the time. So Vicky's mum and dad were great because they had the spare room and the new things were difficult. And yeah, so Noah was born there. He changed things in a good way because it's actually around the same time, because Noah was, I think, 6 months old when you opened here.
Okay.
Because it would have been 2013.
Yeah.
So he was born in 2012. So I think it was around, he was about 6 months old, because that's when we started training here. So we were going over to do the Saturdays over in PMA with yourself, which we can come back to.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's all around that like we moved into Walkerstown, it was only up the road, you were here. Noah was 6 months, so it was like Vicky was working anyway. So I think it just sort of all related to that as well. But then we knew there was something not quite right with him. Do you know what I mean? Vicky seen it before I did. Yeah. I was in a bit denial about it, and sort of saying to myself, going, "Oh no, he's just, just give him time. He's a kid. Again, because I had the Luke and Jade so young, and I wasn't really there for the milestones of walking and talking, which I'll always sort of look back and sort of regret. Do you know what I mean? Not seeing those things, so I didn't really know. Like, I had nieces and nephews, but when you're actually living with a child and you see the progressions day by day, because they change like that, as you know. They start doing things, all of a sudden you're a bit like, oh, they weren't doing that yesterday or an hour ago, so when did they start singing? And he just wasn't, he wasn't talking, he was laughing, smiling, you'd say cheese to him, and he'd turn around and he'd say cheese. But it wasn't progressing as much, that kind of way. So we knew something was up. As I said, Vicky knew before we did. So Vicky had an idea that it was autism because she was clued in a bit more than I was. I was in a bit denial about it. But I think eventually we said, okay, yeah, we'll get him checked out. We got him diagnosed. He didn't get diagnosed until he was 3.
That's right,
because by the time you get through the system and all, it's like, just annoyed me even thinking about it now. But by the time you get through the system and then actually get any sort of like OT or speech and language, like I think he was 4 or 5 by the time he actually got any.
Crazy.
It's just not, the system is shit. Yeah. Sort the system out. It needs to be badly sorted out. So, but again, it didn't really, and in that, it didn't really change much for us, as in, like, he's your child, that's it. Do you know the kind of ways, like, if he has learning difficulties or whatever, you just sort of go with it. And I think because we were living in Vicky's mum and dad's, I think that was an advantage for us, because they were there and they were supportive, and they sort of helped with that then as well, because they seen it too, but they were you just treat them as normal, because they're normal kids. They don't, I don't like the label of someone starts saying, oh, he's normal or he's not normal. It's just like, he's a kid. Do you know the kind of way? He has special needs, but that's just, certain kids have special needs. Some don't, some do. Some are just little shits. It's just like,
fair.
That's just the way it is. So so we were dealing with that, and then we moved back into the apartment for a couple of years, and then Vicky got pregnant. So Vicky wanted another baby. I did too, because she really wanted a little girl.
Yeah.
So she got pregnant again, and then we had Daisy.
You don't miss, do you?
Funny. It is that point of that. We'll start trying, but by the time you actually sort of go through all the motions of starting to try and trying the time, like, you know, ovulation and all that jazz, it's like, oh, you're pregnant. Yay!
You're welcome.
Congratulations.
Anyway, go on.
So we had Daisy then in 2015. So now he would have been 2.5, going on 3 when we had Daisy. So Daisy came along then. She was great, you know. But Vicky had such a bad pregnancy with Noah. Like, she was sick half the time, bad acid reflux, the whole shebang. And then the pregnancy with Daisy was just completely different. It was just a bit calmer and a bit everything. So it was, without going too much into births and all that jazz, Daisy came along. And again, the same thing again. Now, the percentages of having another sibling with autism they go higher as they go along. But for it to be a girl and for her to have autism, it's very low.
Really?
Yeah. Well, I think it's, again, don't quote me on numbers here, but there's definitely, like, say, there's definitely 90% of them are male. Do you know what I mean?
Okay.
Or boys that would have autism rather than girls. They're very, like, even in Daisy's school, like, I think there's 2 girls, including her, that are in the school, but the rest are all boys.
Okay.
So maybe it's a genetic thing with boys, that there's just something that's just not right. But she's completely different to Noah. She was very quiet. She'd just sit there. She'd look at the telly. She wouldn't be she didn't interact at all, like, at the start. So I'm sure, obviously, it just completely. I think we had her diagnosed at a 1.5 years, nearly 2. We just knew there was a specialist fellow over in Blanche that we brought her, and he actually has Asperger's himself. So within 20 minutes, he was like, "Yeah, no, she's definitely on the spectrum." Again, you can take it whichever way you want, and you know, it's again, they're a child. You deal with it, and you sort of go, okay. You can sort of go in on yourself completely and be really upset about it and say the world's against you and what did we do to deserve all this? I don't necessarily feel like that, because I think that's not fair on you to say that. And if anyone ever says that, it's because, oh, I must have done something wrong. It's like, no, you didn't do anything. That's just genetics. That's just the way it's happened. You know, the kind of way. Yeah. It's, you know, like it's like anyone who's had kids with Down syndrome or any sort of special need. It's like that you can't blame yourself on it, because it's not your fault. It just happens. They're your child. You deal with it. You move on, and you just. You treat them no differently, you know.
There's so many wonderful, I know your kids obviously, and it's just there's so many wonderful things about them as well. I think whenever I look at it kind of objectively, I think the hardest thing I would struggle with would be communication. Yeah. But then when I think about it, I'm like, you just learn to communicate differently and be a bit more understanding, a bit more empathetic and all that sort of stuff. Tough, no doubt, but then just what you do amazingly well, you adapt. You just, you know, you roll with it and you're like, okay, this is the situation. Based off, again, the stuff you stand for, like, you know, you roll with it and
I think working in the hospice has helped a lot with that though.
Okay, how so?
Because, like, down in the hospice you have people with dementia and, you know, and Alzheimer's and stuff, and they can't communicate. You know, you could say something in 10 minutes there, they completely forget about it. And I think us being people, person, people, whatever you want to say, I think it just made us deal with that a little bit better. Okay. The fact that Vicky's a nurse and she's fantastic in that situation. She's a paediatric nurse as well, so dealing with kids, she would have seen it before anyway, so she's fucking fantastic at it. So I'd learn more from her than I would from reading it online. Okay. I've read stuff online and it's just like, I generally don't know I don't know how other parents would deal with it by reading stuff, because reading stuff online, it's very sketchy. It's just like, well, what happens if this happens? Like, what about if we can't get them into school, or if the school place, because there's nothing. Do you know what I mean? It's like even next year with Noah, like, we have him in the school that he's in until the end of summer next year, but after that we're like, what do we do with him? It's like once they turn 6, it's like, throw them into normal school. It's like, but what if they can't manage a normal school? And if you throw them to somewhere else like John of God's or anything like that, will they regress? Will they not progress anymore? And that's difficult because you're a bit like, oh shit.
I was reading the declaration from 1919 today. I don't know how I stumbled across it. Someone shared it, I think, and then there was an article done 2020, a view on it and all that sort of stuff, and it basically went into like the no child shall suffer from cold or hunger or lack education and all that. And this was made 100 years ago. It was very like it was really written well and concrete and all that sort of stuff. And then the 2020 article was saying, well, how short have we fallen of that expectation or that statement of what we said we'd do. Yeah. And when you look at that, like again, looking back to when we were young, you see, you'll know the same people, there's no need to mention names, but like people who were in our school who were special needs but were in our school and then bullied because of it and clearly stood out because of it, clearly weren't meant to be there. It wasn't the right place for them. And you just look at that now, it's like, that's just got to be a horrible balance to try and find, and it's like that the government isn't looking after it or making it possible that the person can have the right place to not be in too much in the deep end in normal school, and then not in a place where it's kind of like goo goo gaga, like, you know, for the rest of your life. It's just not fair because you're not being treated as an individual then. That would annoy the fuck out of me.
and it would, and I think what I've noticed more from other parents and talking to other parents, because the spectrum is so varied, do you know, that kind of way. There's no specific sort of saying, he's autism or he's autism. It varies. Some are variable, some are non-variable. Some get the sensory overload of noise or anything like that, just completely can't. Luckily enough, it's not that bad for us. Now, there's certain situations that Daisy, she'd walk down and look at a big group of people and she'd be like, oh, I'm out of here and be gone. And she likes it, but no, it thrives on that. No, being a place and they're sitting in the middle of all the kids that are going, this is fucking great, you know, and he thrives on that. But it says, you know, if he has his Pringles and his can of Coke, he's like, set for life, he's like, leave me here. But then trying to get him out, it's impossible. Trying to coax him out of the place, you're like, oh, how am I going to do this? But they're all individual, and having two kids on the spectrum is like, completely individual. And then Ez comes along, and he's like, hey, I'm here to mess up everybody.
The maddest of the bunch.
Just comes in and wrecks the place. But I completely agree with what you're saying on it, as the individualism, especially from people that you can look back now and see them in school and you can like, oh my god, they really need not to be there. And the teachers didn't have a clue. The teachers weren't educated on that. But you get that problem now with it. Yeah. Is that the teachers, like when they started the SD unit in Walkinstown, we were the first ones in there, and they were training teachers as they went along. So the teachers weren't trained when they went in. It was like, no, we'll go as long as it is, and you're just a bit like, and again, it's not the teacher's fault, it's not the SNA's fault. Like, they're in there trying to do a job and trying to do the best of kids, and they get so attached to the kids, and when they get moved on or something doesn't work and one of the kids has to leave because they're not getting on, it upsets them as much as it upsets the parents. And most of the time all the parents will feel is just anger, and it's not necessarily the best. I know it's not easy not to be angry in certain situations with that, but it doesn't help anybody, because I know of one particular person that was so angry they took the child out of school, tried to bring him somewhere else and couldn't get in, and then couldn't go back, and then they were completely left without a spot for him, and you're like, that was just out of pure anger and just pure frustration at the system. And if they had just been a bit more, and it is about educating yourself about it. But again, so varied. Every kid is individual. Like, there's 6 kids in his class and they're all completely different. They all have their own different ways, and certain things work for them, certain kids doesn't. And like, you know, trying to work in that situation, God bless the teacher, that's all I can say to it.
Well, it ties in a couple of things. So our name was on top of it, but I don't think I could handle at the time, is you managed to put together our 2 charity runs for Hell and Back. Did we do 2 or 3? 3.
We did 3.
3. Yeah. But two of the main ones that stick out to me were the one for the St. James's for Anto. And then the last one we did was for the ASD unit, which was like 3 years ago now? Yeah, something like that. Kind of talking about it now, but just can you tell us a little bit more about the ASD unit and what they do, and kind of what made you want to raise money for them and support it?
The ASD unit in Walkinstown, it was started by Mr. Balfe. He was the principal there at the time. Unfortunately, he's not there anymore because the man got Parkinson's and had to sort of resign from us. But he was really, really invested in it.
Okay.
And obviously with all these units and stuff and all like that, the first thing any of them would say to you is that, oh, we don't have the money for that, oh, we don't have the space for that. And they specifically had the space there for it, and they put in the ASD unit. And it's not just having like the teachers there, or the SNA there, or the sensory room. That all costs money.
Yeah.
Like the sensory room, the sensory stuff, the prices are just like, you're like going to them, okay, listen, it's an LED light that flashes on the end of a string. You're really going to charge 100 quid for that, and you're like, come on. But this is the problem with it, is that as soon as they say, oh, it's for special needs, the price doubles, and you're like, that's not fair. How are people meant to work with that? But anyway, so the main reason for it was for OT and speech and language for the ASD unit in Walkinstown. I said, so they had an OT that came in and worked with the boys. I think it was once a month. Again, they all cost money, like they're expensive.
And they're not government funded at all, or
no. Most of them are. It'd be government funded for some of it, as far the SNAs and stuff and all like that. But only certain schools qualify for it, and not all schools qualify for it. It's like now for next year, Drimnagh Castle is right across the road. They don't have any ASD unit or anything like that, and they have SNAs and all in the classes. But if your son wouldn't be able for mainstream school, you're sort of like, okay, well, what do we do? Like he won't come in and he won't sit down and sit at a copy with the rest of them, and they might necessarily have the SNAs there to actually help. And again, and I think the staff numbers in Drimnagh Castle were being taken back as well because they don't have the money for it. It's all about money. Like at the end of the day, anything like that, it's all about money. Do you know, they come like Cheeverstown, St John of God's, they're all out there trying to do that bit, and parents are like, well, why can't you do more? It's like, well, the government ain't giving us any money for it, and most of them it's off charity base, but the amount of charities that are out there trying to get money out of people for things that happen, it's just like, you go mad thinking of it, and
you'd want to be doing a lot of runs.
No, but it is. It's like for the Irish, when we did it for the stroke clinic. Do you know what I mean? We had a reason for doing it for Anthony's brother who passed away there, and it was, as I said, again, the problem is with that. Again, it's not a problem, but you want to make sure that the place themselves gets the money for it. And when it goes into big companies and stuff and all, it just goes, and you're just like, well, where's the money gone? And schools can be the same. If you're raising money for schools, they always go, well, we actually need, it has to go into one pot and be spread out. I was like, well, it doesn't always work like that.
It's an interesting thing. We kind of have the lofty goal and desires, and sure it'll take time, but like just seeing all of this stuff, it makes you want to try and do your best from the roots, to try and create a different culture. And a couple of things, so like highlighting stuff like this, hopefully someone listen to this, or maybe we can just start to make a little bit more sense of things and try and push things in a better direction, so that maybe the next generation can kind of impact or be impacted by it a little bit better and all that sort of stuff. Because
that's what it's always about, isn't it? It's for the next people coming along behind you. Do you know what I mean? Like be the influencer, be the person that someone come along and ask questions to. Do you know what I mean? Don't be that cocky kid that be like, well, I'm not going to teach anybody, because that's what it's about. Life is about teaching the people that are coming along behind you to either not make the mistake that you made, or to help out other people, or whatever it is. You could go on all day trying to pick reasons to it. But that's one thing I'd always say to, especially the eldest kids, is like, do you know what I mean? No, be sensitive to other people, and they're great because they have siblings that are on the spectrum and that have special needs. You can actually see them compared to some of their friends.
They're fantastic,
of the difference and how they show respect, and do you know what I mean? That it's not just, they're not that young for the staring at another side going, what's wrong with him? Do you know what I mean? It's just like, maybe it's not nice to stare at him. Do you know what I mean? Maybe he just wants to be part of that circle. And again, it goes back to the school, and back in our days, you know what I mean? I probably would have been one of the first ones to say, oh, man, what's he fucking doing with me? It's like, no.
We didn't know any better.
We didn't. There was no talk of people with, you just thought, oh, look, how much a man, let's stay away from him kind of thing. And it's not. And when you look back at it now, you're sort of like, oh, actually, hold on. But again, you're young, you're foolish, you don't really have any ideas. And it's got nothing to do, but no one knew back then of how many different special needs people have. What do
you want for your kids kind of going forward, for all of them? Like, not necessarily that, just is there anything you want for them to?
I want them to keep learning. If anything I can say to them, that number one, it's just because you're finished school now, especially with Luke and Jade's doing that even next year, it's like never stop learning. Just because you're finished school, do you know what I mean? Regardless of where you go or who you meet, keep learning. You know, it's like I'm 38 now and I'm still learning. I'm learning loads, but like I've purposely made a point of going back and going to college and doing courses, doing the fitness instructor course, doing the strength and conditioning course, because it's never too late. Vicky went back and did, you know, mature student, became a nurse, because it's, you know, you have to keep progressing. I remember the professor fella who did the course with me for the managing people one that we did, he was 67 and he was working for the company. He's teaching the course, but he's still going off and doing courses himself. And he was like, why not?
Yeah,
it's
of course.
Obviously they all cost money, but as I said, if you want to progress in life and progress as a person, it's not necessarily in job or for money or to get whatever, it's just progress as a person.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Go and learn something new, go and learn a new language, go and learn something about something that you know nothing about. It's like, divulge into, try yourself into it and just learn. Just keep learning.
That's nice, really cool. I agree. I think I'm, 38 in a few months.
I think we're all the same though. I think us as a group of lads, I think, do you know what I mean, out of all of us, I think we're all around the same sort of, because when we all started being friends, I think we're all nearly sort of, we've all progressed in some sort of way, shape or form, whether it be like Anthony, started doing his physio, of course doing the anatomy and motion, do you know what I mean? Vincent's like, wow, do you know what I mean? Like from the scary Frenchman hiding in the corner from the first time I met him. Do you know, like Keith now as well, you know what I mean? He's completely progressed to heights. Yeah. Look at you. This is
us, it's not me.
No, it's you're us. Andy, it's amazing. So
there's a couple of things we could talk about on that. Like, so the lads he's mentioning, you'll probably hear this as a recurring thing in the podcast, because we have a group called the Gentleman's Group, and it's 7 of us. So the lads like I know Richie years, I know own years and years and years, but for the most part we've all met through the gym, through the studio. And so we've this real tight knit group, and we've a WhatsApp group called the Gentleman's Group. And do you want to talk a little bit about what that means to you? I mean, I've talked about it, and I will again, but here we go.
Okay. Deep breaths. Well, first off, I had the first initial people. Like, I knew Flav from school. Owen, don't call him Owen. His name's Flav. I knew Flav from school. Again, he would have been one of your friends, and I knew of him. Knew him to see. Wouldn't have really known him to talk to. And so when I came to, I think he started doing the classes in the gym, and it was just like, you know, when you meet somebody and within a couple of minutes chatting, and like, oh, I've known him all my whole life. Yeah. And that was Flat. That was Flat to me. It was like, I know him. I was like, oh. And it's just like, two of us were like, right, buddies, that's it. We're done. Had great crack with him. We used to wreck your head in the class though as well, because we were always the messes in the corner. But that was, Flat's great. I love Flat. Yeah.
Just quickly on that as well, just the thing about Flat as well, like we didn't speak for 2 years. And then he just turned up at the door one day on his bike. He's like, all right. And I was like, we had never not talked. Yeah. And it was just something stupid. I think it was a birthday party and whatever it was. And we just, you know, I went, because this is when I started to become a PT and all that. So I just got any form of like negativity that I saw out of my own way. And that's not, I'm not talking about Flat, but just generally anything. I just went tunnel vision. This is who I want to be. And so time passed and like 2 years flies. And like that, he just turned up at the door and was like, he's never left. So,
but that was like us as well. It was like, weren't really friends. I think I contacted you on Facebook and said to you about where were you training. You were like, oh, I'm down in Ashbourne. It's probably too far for you to go. I know other people. And I was like, no, I'll come to Ashbourne and I'll train with you because that's what I wanted to do. Yeah. And whatever it was just like within a couple of classes, it was like, okay, we're really good friends and we got on really well. That was great. I think Anthony was, I think I met him when we were doing the initial Saturday mornings. It wasn't handstands and coffee at the time, but it was just Saturday morning. I don't, what did you call it?
Movement, something,
yeah. I can't remember myself. But Anthony was at that again. A couple of times of meeting him, it was just like, he's fucking sound. I like him. Mad, but I like that. It was just like, within. Do you know, it wasn't a thing for lads to give each other lads compliments. Mm-hmm. And Anthony would have been one of the first ones to always give you a compliment, regardless of how big or small. And that is such a major thing for someone, especially in a gym environment that's not like I was one of the original members here, but even for someone else to come in that has been, be like, you're great at that. I really like that. It's deadly fair play. And you sort of stand there and go, oh, fuck, I like him. And that was Anthony. Vincent, I love Vincent. He's great. You know, the little quiet, shy Frenchman that comes in, it's just like, not quite shy anymore. Still a stud. But again, it was him. I think it took him 6 months to try and understand what I actually was saying. I think he still struggles. He was like, Vicky, I do not understand. Slow down. But again, it's such a tight-knit group. I think Keith and Adrian were both in the morning class. They started both in the morning class. And I think I hadn't been around for a couple of months. I don't know what it was. I think it was just work. I think I was just busy in work, and I just hadn't been. And I came back to the morning classes. You love the morning classes. 6:30. Still missed off classes. But the lads were here with, I think Philly was here at the time.
That's right.
Dave, if I remember, there was a fella called Dave.
And 1 or 2 girls, I think, only. How things have changed.
1 or 2, yeah. There was another fella, I can't remember his name, but he used to do a lot of running and stuff and all as well. That name eludes me. No. Anyway, but the 2 lads were there, but again, just, I think me and Keith are from very similar backgrounds. Do you know what I mean? As far as he's from Ballier, and we sort of had the same upbringing as such. Do you know what I mean? And we were just on the same level with stuff. Do you know that kind of way? Yeah. It's one of those. It was like, you know, he's working at Paddy Power, you know, and you know, doing really well, and I'm like, oh fuck, well, I'm an electrician. It's like, okay. But and Adrian was the same, you know. When you just gel with certain group, I think it's because Philly was around at the time as well, and because I lived on the same road as Philly, and we grew up together. Like we were playing on the same road since we were like 7 or 8, you know. And again, you go out of touch with him a couple of times, but again, Philly'd be one of those people as well that you'd meet after a couple of years, and you'd be like, I seen him yesterday, kind of thing, you know, the kind of way. But I think it was because he was around and he knew the lads from doing it the morning, so I think we just all just gelled. Yeah. And Adrian was the same. Adrian's a legend. Yeah. I love Adrian. Yeah. But yeah, so that's just, I think just when you just know when you click with people. And I think it was always just, then it just always ended up just being us around in the 6:30 classes, and
I think it turned into just having coffees after and having chats afterwards and getting to know each other.
As well. It was just we got to know each other so well after that, and it just stemmed from there. And it's just like it's strange to have such a group of people from such different backgrounds, and just to like you swear you've known them my whole life. Yeah,
I think one of the things I read recently, like, but it's kind of common anyway, it's hard to make friends as an adult, and then there's the other thing of like in foreign countries like Italy or Spain or whatever, you'd always see like older gentlemen out, like, you know, on their Sunday best or whatever, and they're out having a drink together, having a coffee together in the morning. But you don't really see that over here. You don't see groups of lads and outside of the pub, like, and all that. So I think it's quite special. But I just think of the bond we have and all that sort of stuff. We shared some stories, like, and identify with each other's struggles and all that sort of stuff. And like the people who we're talking about are the people who built this gym and expanded it and expanded it and expanded it and all that. And I'll always be in debt for it, like. But yeah, the group has just been amazing. I just think like if people have been willing to talk about like nearly committing suicide over something and all that sort of stuff. What do you think is the thing you get most out of the group?
Support, because regardless of, you know, they never judge you, and that's I think that's always an advantage. I think being a lad, do you know, the kind of way, from being like a lad background to been able to be so sensitive around a group of lads and not have that of like, oh, you fucking idiot, like, do you know what I mean? And I got away from a group of people who were like that. Is that as soon as you started talking about feelings, or like, I'm gonna go, let's have a pint, and you're like, that's not really, do you know, I didn't need that, and it just didn't work for me. But I think that's what opened us up about the group of the lads, that you just can just have a chat about pretty much anything, and someone listens to you, and you sort of go, oh, okay, this is new. Do you know what I mean? And like I would have been in my late 20s then when I started meeting the lads, and as you said, to start making a new group of friends at that age and stuff and all that's just something that you just don't. You have your group of friends that you have in work, you know, and most people would, that's their friends, you know what I mean? That's their group of friends, or friends that they have from school or football or that. And I had yous, and it was great, and do you know what I mean? I'll always be grateful for the lads always being there. You know, the kind of way, as I said, regardless of how sensitive and foolish you sound, it's never, it never comes across that that there's ever an issue with that. Like, and ask them anything and you'd get a reply back.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And they're always honest about it as well. It's never a case of that they'd always pretend and go, like, text you or text Fla, and so I go, you should have heard what he was fucking saying.
Yeah.
You know there's none of that goes on, and that's amazing.
It is. I think it's unreal. Yeah.
That's like in my eyes and knowing other people, that's unheard of. Like, you see the lads in the football group and from work or whatever, I'd be the first thing to say, did you see what your man was saying on the group last night? And you're just like, And I think that's sort of just...
I think it's the opposite. I think we have a group where if you were talking to somebody, that somebody might say to me, listen, I was chatting to Richie last night, he's not in a good way this week, but you didn't have to say it to me. So like maybe you didn't want me to know or whatever, but he knew that the rest of us should know because we just look after him this week and just make sure he's all right or whatever it may be. And we all go through it and all that. I think it's relatively unique and I think it's amazing, and I think every time we talk about it, all I want to do is encourage people to be able to have that.
Definitely.
I don't know who the first person was who I generally end up in tears like whenever we go on trips away. I'm past it now. I know you're not gonna get me to cry. But just I got a tremendous sense of self-worth and value and realising the impact you had on people just through the lads. Like, I think we almost got Flat to cry as well. You don't always see the things yourself, and you don't always realise that people see it in you. And
I think that's the use in other people, and that's always the thing that you'd say to people, that if they're feeling down or something's bothering them, is that regardless of who it is, whether it's someone close to you, a family member, or someone that you just know that you can say something to, it's just go and say it to them. Yeah. It doesn't matter who it is. It's like you go and say that to that person, and you'll get something out of it. Yeah. Even if it's just getting it off your chest, and the other person doesn't say anything. It's like, oh, okay, I feel better now. And that's one thing, when I was in that little pit of despair of not talking to people and saying it to people, ever since then, I have never shut up about it, because if I'm feeling a bit, I'm like, okay, voice message Andy or one of the lads, I just put it on the group and say it straight out, because I'm like, no, I'm not holding on to this shit, because that's not good for you. Do you know what I mean? And it's the first thing if anyone comes to me, even if they come into the gym and they're a bit like, I don't feel great today. It's like, that's okay. You do what you want to do. If you're feeling a certain way, just tell me and we'll work around it. If you want to leave, whatever you're feeling, just say it to somebody. Doesn't matter who they are. Bend an ear. I've got loads, so I can do mine anytime.
I'll just check this super quick. I think that's what makes you... Hang on 1 second. I think it's gone over, has it? 30. Yeah, so continuing on from that, I think that's what makes you a great person, and what makes a great coach, because a great person makes a great coach generally, is that. And so whenever I think of, everything we do here obviously happens organically. We only really, I'm not going to say hire family, but it's people who graduate into different roles or do different things, whether they have their own business or whether they end up coaching here or being something. It always happens super organically, and for me it always starts with, is this person the right type of person? Skills can come and go, certifications, blah, 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 anyone can upskill. But if you're not a special person who has empathy towards other people and genuinely cares about people and wants to see them do well, or is willing to take a second to look at someone's body language and be like, you all right today? And even if the person doesn't answer you, it's like I see you, whatever. So I think that's what makes you a really good coach, and again, why you're my filter on a Monday, where I want the person to come to your class and meet you first, because if they don't like you, then they're not a people person. and
you don't get many people in that aren't nice people.
Yeah, because...
Do you know the kind of way? No, but they come in the door. You'll get the odd one or two that you're sort of a bit like, oh, do you know, like, oh, wait, we'll warm to this person. Do you know the kind of way? Because, like, I'd always say is that you don't have to like everybody. Do you know the kind of way? Always give someone a chance. Do you know the kind of, because, as I said, it might be nerves. They're coming into a completely new environment. You know, always give, if someone comes in and they're nervous and they're off or they're hyper or whatever it is, like, do you know what I mean? Always give them that chance just to come out and be themselves. Do you know what I mean? Because I've seen so many people, and so many people are progressing away, and it's not always about strength. It's not always about, you know, getting your first handstand or like that, because those things take time. Do you know what I mean? It's about people coming in and just being a completely different person and being this bubbly person, and you're chatting to people and you're like going, you are not the same person that I met the first time that you walked in here. And I don't think anyone is when they walk into a new environment, whether it's a new job or going into a new house or starting to live with someone for the first time or whatever. No one's ever the exact same, because you learn, you adapt, you overcome, you deal with stuff, and that's just life, and that's just what you have to do. And I think well, obviously from my own personal opinion, I think there's this place that we've sort of, you know, put the foundations in. It just keeps growing, and people just naturally just gravitate to good places.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Because I've seen people in commercial gyms, and I've worked in different gyms, and I'm like, okay, maybe you shouldn't be in this environment. You should be somewhere that's a bit more empathetic to what you need and what you need to progress at. And you know, it's not easy in the commercial gym to see people do that, because people come in and half the time they wouldn't even talk to anybody else in the gym, and it's not necessarily. It could be great for them. They might feel great going in, running 20 minutes on the treadmill, doing a couple of bicep curls and leaving. And if that's what they want to do, it's like it's great. You know, but I think there's other people out there that sort of need a good environment around. Yeah. And it is a lot of people's out. You know what I mean? Some people might like to go out drinking, some people mightn't have that many other friends, and if they come in here, it's a bit like, yeah, right, come on, you're part of me now, let's go.
Yeah. What do you enjoy most about coaching?
Ooh, people. I love talking to people. There's been a couple of occasions, and a couple of the members were agreeing with that, is that we completely forget what we're nearly doing when we're chatting. Because it's like, you get into it, and if someone has, like, as I said, I think as a coach, it's not always about what program you're doing or what squats or how many reps you're doing. Is that if someone's there and they're not having a great day, and you can see it in them, and you just start chatting to them, and there's been a couple of times that people have started crying and just let loose, and by the end of the cast, like, this feels great. It's like, yeah, we were meant to be doing our 3-rep max, and it's like, yeah, don't worry about that. You feel okay now. We'll move on. We'll do whatever. And I think that's what I love about it. I think just meeting new people and helping people, because whether it be big or small, as I said, it's for me, gym and being a coach, it's not all about six packs and bicep curls. Do you know that kind of way? It's for me, it's about the people, and for people to progress, regardless of how big or small the progression is, as long as they're progressing and moving on and they're feeling good about themselves, whether it's a mental state or whatever it is, that's what we're here for, to help with that and help them move on, because that's what it's about for me. You know what I mean? It's about coming in and just, whether it's an out or just whatever it is, just come in and just start feeling a bit better about yourself.
I think I learned a lot of that from you as well. Is just, again, like, used to being in shape, and you know, I train hard, but it comes relatively easy to me. I enjoy training and all that. But then realising that it's not about six packs and biceps and all that sort of stuff. It's really not. And then when you look into stresses, and I only learned this as I became a parent, is like trying to reverse engineer understanding how you as a parent at age 18, and you know, from then on, is like, how did you manage those stresses and still get time to train and work it out and all that sort of stuff. And then it made me really strip down everything and be like, okay, I need to understand this type of person who has kids, who doesn't sleep and all that. And that only comes with experience as well. And again, I think that's why you're an invaluable coach, is that you have experience in spades. Like, you just, you can be in any room and talk to a person and relate to them. And I think it's just indispensable. I think it's amazing. And yeah, I think, like I said, skills come and go and all that other stuff, but having that life experience and being able to relate to people, I think it's just, that's what people are here for. The rest is just, it's all fancy and it's all nice, and it's great to feel fit and it's all that. But
no, it is, and I said, I think it's a case of that, you know, that stuff comes eventually anyway. You know, the kind of way, like, as you say, as you understand more about stresses and stimuli and your nervous system and how it reacts, like, you know, you come in and train your ass off for 12 weeks, but if stuff isn't right at home, or you're stressed about something, or you're not sleeping right because then you're not eating right and you're drinking a little bit more, it's just like, it's not gonna happen. Do you know what I mean? It will happen little by little, but it's not gonna happen as quick as you do. And I think that's why I like running so much, and that's why I like lifting weights so much.
That's what I was about to ask you about your training.
When you're in those situations, doing those things, you know, you just get a little mental break, and you can go into that little zone. And I think a lot of people find that hard to do, especially when running, because a lot of people, anyone I talk to about running and like that, it's like, you know, I'd like to run, but I just get bored. And you're a bit like, okay, you need to sort of find, number one, you need to find, if it's not running, you need to find something else that you can do to get you into that, whether it's cycling, swimming, whether it's going on, you know, a rowing machine or whatever. You need to find something that just gets you into that little zen mode. Any runners out there that will tell you, or anyone who lifts heavy weights, when you're doing those certain things, you're not worried about, you know, the kids at home, or, you know, you're going to be late for this or whatever. You're in that zone, and that's what you need to do, and it's a great mental break for anybody.
Big time.
and it isn't about going for an hour run. It could be 10 minutes. Just the sort of because I find it great. The mental break I get from running is fantastic. Like even today when I went out, I was so concentrating on my technique and because I couldn't breathe because I just found it so muggy and hot that you're not worried about anything else, you know. By the way, you're worried about technique, you're worried about breathing and just getting through it, and then when you're finished you're like, oh, okay, I feel great now. You're like standing at the car going, oh, you could have been gone for an hour.
Yeah.
You know, it was only half an hour, but it's still just getting that in that zone. And I find the same with weights as well. I just get that, you know, the fact that you feel stronger doing it, and it's just, you know, it is that little, as I said, it's not about six packs and biceps, but just to gradually feel stronger each time. And I've only been talking about that with Stevie beforehand, that people have to realise that progression is the most important thing about anything that you can get out of the gym.
Okay.
As long as you're progressing, that's what's important. It's not about looking the part or someone looking at you sort of going, because I'm very conscious of the way I look. Obviously, I'm not in the shape I'd like to be in, but I'm not overthinking it and I'm not stressing about that. I'm like, I'm feeling stronger. I'm definitely feeling fitter now at the moment. Like I'm 38, I can still go out and run 5k and feel great. I can still go and lift really heavy weights and feel great. And you know, I think I look great.
You're my favourite out of the lads group.
But I think I look like decent, like from what stresses and strains that I did with life. I've always had a bit of a gut on me anyway, but I've had that since I was like 15. But again, I put that back to stress and strains that I had back then, and it's way easier to put on my look. I was 13 and a half stone at one stage, and I was like in a pit of despair, drinking Bulmers and having really bad like heart reflux at 19, 20, and it's not good. Like you do all that damage back then, and it takes a long time to get back to that. You get back to a point, and then you have a child or you buy a house and stuff goes wrong at home or whatever it is. A lot of these things just keep adding on to it, like, you know what I mean? Yeah. You know, you see all the young fellas these days and that's all they're concerned about is having a six pack and looking good, and you're like, yeah, it's not necessarily. Yeah. Do you feel good? No. It's, you know, this is what you have to sort of concentrate on.
I think I tried to reinforce that when you wanted to coach here originally, and you would think you mentioned it back then. It's like, oh, I don't feel like I'm in the shape I need to be to do this, and I was like, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, you were one of the first people to ever say that to me, and I thank you for that, and I do appreciate that. Do you know what I mean? Because you were always like, fuck that shit. Like, do you know what I mean?
You've way too much to offer people than a fucking six pack.
But
like
that's what it is, and it's not. And that's, you know, you can't reiterate that enough. Is the fact that it's not about that. It's not about looking good. It comes a time if you start feeling good about yourself and you start feeling strong. Listen, you know, I know fellas in fantastic shape, you know what I mean, and young fellas, and I could run faster than them, and I'm 10 times stronger than them, and you're like, stop thinking that that's just what it's about. Yeah. You look great, you look great, but run down the road. Yeah. If someone starts chasing you, you're going to be able to run away from them? Probably not. Do you know what I mean? So.
Yeah, and then people come in different shapes and sizes regardless, and again, it's another thing I try to make here is inclusive, not exclusive. If the person comes in and they see you on a Monday and you don't fit their prototype of what a person should look like, and they don't find that what they want to be, great, we don't want you. I can't, like, it inspired is probably the wrong word, but it enabled me to feel like I didn't have to be in all the shape all the time. And so just it made me feel like, okay, well, if I'm stressed, whether it's now, or whether it's a month, or whether it's 2 months or 3 months or a 6 month window of just being like, fuck, this is all tough. Stuff can go by the wayside because it's all flux and it's all just changing and chopping and changing. And I think for a large part of it, stuff is like a small part of a large picture. So if 3 or 6 months or even a year go by and it's like not the best it could be, you can dial it back in. I think, you know, it's fine. And haven't had the stresses for so long. Go on, sorry.
No, but you also find what works for you.
Yeah.
You know, like I know what works for me and I do it. And do you know what I mean? I think every individual has the same sort of, you know, it's not about, you know, if you come in and you have a certain structure for 6 weeks or 4 weeks, it might necessarily work for you, but you always have to give it that chance to see. You know, as I said, it might be a case of that you might need to concentrate on your diet a bit more, you might need to get more sleep, you might need to drink more water, you might need to sort of tell your kids to back off for an hour because you need a break, or you might need to read a book, whatever it is. It's about finding that works for you. I always want to read more, and I always want to, you know, upgrade myself. I always keep blaming the kids on the time, going, I don't, but But by the time you get to 7 o'clock in the evening, they go to bed, and Ezra's still running around like a lunatic, a bit like on. Will I read for an hour? No, I'm gonna eat, shower, try and get ready for the next day, and just try and, you know what I mean, just try and cope. And like, I find either watching a film or whatever, or going for a drive. I love driving. I could go off for an hour and a half drive, and it'd be like, wouldn't bother me. But I find that as a mental break, it's great. Even the kids in the car, the kids love it. Daisy loves being in the back of the car, and Noah loves it as well. They love just sitting there looking out the window. And it's great, just go for a drive, Sally, come back and it's like, start again. Especially if you're feeling a little bit just in on yourself. Because everyone does, everyone goes through shifts and trains. As you said, it fluxes so much. Do you know what I mean? Stuff could be bothering you today and it mightn't be bothering you next week, and you may be like, oh, what was I worried about that for? Let's go and train for an hour.
I know there's frustration there with you wanting to kind of further your fitness career and stuff like that, and then always like stuff was coming up with the kids and all that sort of stuff. And again, I was trying to remind you that there was no rush on things or whatever, and then you were just, like you want to do so much, and it's, of course you do. But yeah, stuff takes the time it takes, and it's all good.
But that would be it's great to have people to say that to you as well. It's not about now, do you know what I mean? It's about in 4 years time or 5 years time. It's like age is not a thing for me. Like, do you know what I mean? I'm 38 now, but I'm still learning. I'm telling you now, when I'm in my 40s, I'll be still, if not in better shape than what I am now, because kids be slightly older, you learn and you adapt, you just overcome it. It's just stuff that you want to be. There's so many people out there that you look up to and sort of see their age, and you'd be like, he's not 50, is he? And they're in great shape, and you look at them and you're like, yeah, okay, it's possible. Don't put it down to like, oh, I'm a dad, I want a dad bod, I want to be 60, worried about retiring and just want to go to the pub. It's just like, it wouldn't be me. So if that's what you want to do, okay, grand, but it just wouldn't be me. That's not my mindset, and that's not my mentality to have. It's just like, I don't want to be that. Do you know what I mean? I want to still keep running and lifting stuff. And so
at age 50 or 60, that's kind of what you're doing now, do you think, largely?
Yeah, like, I don't see why not. Do you know what I mean? I'd always, again, it's what I said about gym stuff, is I always want to be progressing, whether it's work related or gym related or life related. It's just, I always want to progress. I always just want to be that little bit better every day, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I always just have that aspiration to sort of go, do you know what, tomorrow I'm going to be that little bit better. Doesn't matter how big or small it is, as long as you're progressing, do you know what I mean, and you're not sitting at home sort of going, oh, I'm not going anywhere in my life, do you know that kind of way. And I was like that with the job, because I was an electrician for 17 years, loved my job, loved the people that I work with. I got the job in the hospice as a porter, loved it. Do you know, I says progressing there, started doing courses. I'm a trained manual handling instructor. I love doing that, because again, you're coaching people, you're teaching people, you're interacting with people that you know, and everyone who said, even the girl who runs, she's the manual handling head, and she goes, my God, Richie, she says, you're fantastic at that, like, do you know what I mean? And I'm like, yeah, because I just really enjoy just teaching people, do you know what I mean? I waffle a lot. And when people actually listen to you, do you know what I mean? It's just like, okay, people are actually listening to me, so they're like, oh, okay, I'm gonna
keep waffling.
Yeah, because I remember doing one of the courses that I did, and there was a video presentation thing that you did, and you was like, right, 5 minutes. I was like, okay. And the other sort of looked at me, and I'd only met these people for a couple of days, and the other just looked at me and sort of went, he's not going to last 5 minutes. I think it was 17 minutes later, I was still talking, I was like in the background going this, and I was like, okay. But I just, I get into it, but I think
it's great.
Yeah, no, I really enjoy it, and as I said, it's, just progress, you know. As I said, I got the job at Porter, did all the courses, did management courses, managing people courses, and I loved them all. Do you know what I mean? I learned a lot from it, like someone like going back to school, especially when I left in transitioning, and then going back to school and having to do assignments, I'm like, oh, you're like, I'm going completely mental here. And that's another thing I'd always say to someone, is don't be hard on yourself. Do you know the kind of way? If you go back to college and you think that, oh, I'm not smart enough for this, that's bullshit. Yeah. Everyone has it in them. Do you know the kind of way? If you want to learn and you want to do stuff, go and do it, give it a go. Do you know, you still surprise yourself. I surprised myself, do you know what I mean, doing the same things that I was doing. So, you know, there's that. And I think, obviously with the kids and stuff and all like that, I had to take a break from work, because, you know, just with minding the kids and childminders, and Daisy hadn't gotten to school, and we just weren't sure. we had her in the creche, and then we took her out of the creche because the creche weren't really that able for it, you know, the kind of way. So, and then we got her into the Nexus school over in Lucan, and now we have her in, she's starting school now on the 29th of August this year down in Warrenmount, down in Black Pits. Great school, looks lovely, and we have her in there. But I took the time just to sort of help out with that and just to be a dad at home kind of thing.
Which is amazing. So you switched from working in the hospice to being essentially a full-time carer of the kids. How has that been since?
It's been great.
Yeah.
I think in work I was just finding things really difficult in work because I wasn't progressing as quick as I'd like to in work. I was doing the courses, jobs were coming up, I wasn't getting them.
Yeah.
You know, I had stresses and strains in work, and it sort of affected me a little bit just in the mental side, especially with the kids as well, and the stress and strains at home. And I knew Vicky was struggling a little bit at home as well. And to be fair to her, you know, swap roles a little bit. Do you know what I mean? And I love it. I love being a dad at home and having time to be able to go and do stuff with the kids, and you know, and just to be a dad.
It's really interesting. I think seeing, I think it would have been 2 years ago now, but like you had that year where it's like 6 to 12 months of like you were doing certification here, certification there, doing this job, and it was looking like you were going to get a promotion, all that sort of stuff. And you went from having this super year, I was like, holy shit, like everything's happening, and then just like the job thing didn't come up and all this sort of stuff, and then you end up just having not a great time in work, I suppose, and all that. And then just the shittest like year after that or whatever, and just looking at it, I was like, oh, like my stomach was just turning for you because everything had just gone so like round and around, and it was really, really hard to look at. I think one of the things that is kind of worth bringing up as well is like leaving a job to become a full-time carer for your kids is probably tougher than having a job. Like in different ways, obviously, but it's like
at the start when we were doing it, and we were doing like a little transitioning period. So I went down to 15 hours, and I was doing it. I was finding the job more stressful than the kids, and a lot of people would be like, "Really?" And I'd be like, "Yeah." It got to that point that was better because I really, really enjoy my job, and I really like working with people, and I really love working in the hospice. Things just didn't go the way I wanted it to go, and certain relationships in the hospital didn't go the way it was meant to go, and just that's life. Do you know what I mean? Stuff doesn't always go your way. You go for jobs, you're not always going to get the job. You might be the best person with a job, you might be best qualified, but it just doesn't. It's obviously not meant for you. You're obviously not meant to go that path.
It's a nice way of looking at it,
Yeah, obviously the universe is just pushing in a certain direction, and I'll always be a big believer in that. Is that, kind of like, so what if I didn't get it? It wasn't meant to be. I'm probably slightly better than that. Do you know what I mean? And that's important to remember as well. Do you know the kind of way? So just because you didn't get the job doesn't mean that you're bad at your job or that they didn't want you. It just didn't work out that way.
Yeah.
They went a different path. They decided it. Probably completely regret it now. But it's just, that's just life, and you just have to adapt. And do you know what I mean? There's 3 great phases that I'm using at the moment, especially with because the new program stuff now we're doing that. It's like there's 3 phases. There's the shock phase, the adaptation phase, and then the exhaustion phase. And you can use that in life as well.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean? So shock phase be something. So you start something new. Do you know what I mean? Whether it be a new job, you buy a new house, you start going to a new gym, start going to a new coffee shop, whatever it is. It's a shock phase that, okay, this is completely new to me. I'm going to have to your body sort of reacts to that, and you react to that mentally, and sort of go, okay. And then your adaptation phase is that you're in, and adaptation is that you're getting used to new surroundings. Because it happens if people move, like I said, keep moving to New York. That was a shock phase for him. Now he's in an adaptation phase that he's just getting used to it, and that's just a natural progression for people. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. But we all visit that exhaustion phase from time to time that we're just at our complete end of stuff, and but again, that's life. Do you know the kind of way? Life is hard sometimes, and sometimes it's okay to sit at home and eat a tub of ice cream and have a glass of wine and go, do you know what? Fuck this. I'm not willing to do this. Tomorrow's another day. Let's just restart it and just do it, and talk to people. Always be honest with people. Always be honest with yourself. If you're feeling a bit shit, talk to someone about it. Do you know the kind of way? It's okay to feel like shit. We all do it. We all do it from time to time, and the trick is just not to be there too often.
Yeah.
That's naive.
Fair. Yeah.
It's not easy to do though.
I think that's where being a person who likes to learn and progress comes into it as well. As like you don't want to leave yourself in a situation, you want to learn, and as you said, adapt and overcome.
Yeah.
Cool. Anything else you want to add along the lines of that, or
no, just I think I like to talk. I like being around people. I like to coach people. I said it is about just progression for me, and I was just progress. I said it could take a year, it could take 6 months.
Yeah.
Like I said, we've been back and talking for months about me doing extra classes, doing extra things. That's going to happen now. Yeah. The other programs coming out, that's great. It gets me sort of back into thinking and learning and pushing stuff forward. Just always just be grateful for what you have. Do you know what I mean? There's always someone out there in a worse position than you. And I said, I know of 2 kids with autism. I know everyone has a lot going on, but your shit is your shit.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Other people are going through other shit, but that's their shit. You know, they're going away. It's just like your shit is important. It's important to you, and it is important to people that are close to you. But always remember that. Don't always go, oh well, I shouldn't be worried about that because they've a worse thing. Yeah, it's still your stuff.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? You still have to worry about you and your life and how people are around you. So just always just remember that. And always be grateful for the people around you who are there for you.
Yeah, well, like I said, I think you're just the mascot for the studio. Not only have you built the place and helped me, when I got this place first, I hadn't got a clue what to do with the place, and you were always there. Whenever I needed help.
I was going to be there, man. I was going to be there.
But it's true, and it's just to know that someone has your back like that, and we're lucky again to have a few people who do. It's unbelievable because it just makes you feel like you can do anything, and even if you have a stupid idea, you can say it to lads, and it might be shot down, or it might be rationalised, or it might be like, no, you know what, fuck, I think we could do this.
That's great though.
It's
great to have that.
Well, hopefully we can all do that for each other, and I think that's what makes the world go round. Cool. There's a couple of questions there, but I think you've actually covered most of them.
We did. I think I was going through them in my own head.
Yeah, you done good. I just personally want to thank you for being the foundation of this place, and it always feels like things are just getting started, and I think that's very much the way it is for you. And
it is, and I'd always be grateful for you for giving me the opportunities as well. Do you know what I mean? Even just to train or just to come down, and because I know there's been times that I've been here and I haven't really done much, and that you just come in and sit down and have a cup of coffee and leave again. But as I said, I think it's just that type of place, and that we're just those type of people that people can do that. Yeah. So, I mean, because if anyone came into the class and they didn't feel great and they just wanted to sit down and have a glass of water and talk or whatever, like me and Stevie had a great chat for 20 minutes beforehand, and it was like, what would you do on a podcast? Like, pretty much what we're just doing now, just with a bit more structure, and it's just, but that's great to have that. Like, you meet someone, I've met so many great people here, so they're not necessarily close friends, but there's so many decent people. Do you know that kind of way that come through here? Because remember my sister Louise, because I know one of the questions was about female influencers. She be my female influencer. Do you know what I mean? She's, she went through her phase of like being a mom and doing her mom stuff and all like that, and then she started coming to. She did circuit training with us, and then she started coming to the classes, and it's just like, strong woman. That's the woman. But again, it goes back to my dad influences and stuff like that. She's pretty much around the same level as us, and I think she's just a fantastic person, and a person I'd always look up to. Yeah. I mean, she's always going to me, it's great to have a brother like you. And it's like, yeah, but talk about yourself. You're great. Come on. Do you know what I mean? Be fair to yourself. And if it was a female influence, I think it would be my sister. Yeah. She's great. Brilliant. Lulu's great. She is. I haven't seen her in too long. Yeah. It's been like over 2 years or 3 years. Yeah. Come back to me. She's doing loads of running. She's, I see it all on Facebook. She's killing it. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? You're like, fuck. Nearly 50, sorry. Yeah. Sorry. But again, there you go, nearly 50, you know what I mean? 3 kids, 3 great kids. She's a grandchild now, and she helps look after the grandchild, and she's still out there going 10k runs, not about doing a park run. I think they've done over 50 park runs now. And you're like, but just to be doing it but that shows you nothing about age or anything like that. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? She's a mom, she's a fantastic mom, she's a fantastic wife to Mick's fantastic as well. And they're just great people, and it's always just, they're family, but, if they weren't family, I think we'd be still fantastic friends. I think that's important as well. Yeah. But definitely, just age is not a number, and it doesn't matter. Just be you and just keep going. That's it. Sweet. Don't know what else to say.
You don't want to say anything
Well,
else?
we
I think that's all good. Shut up and kiss me. Thank you very much.
Oh, always a pleasure, man.
Always. I appreciate you. Cheers.
What can I see now?